Okay, in the last lesson, we talked about how there was a need to remake our government, to get rid of the Articles of Confederation and start over with something new, the Constitution. In today's lesson, the people have to decide if that's what they really want. So they have to decide if they're going to accept the Constitution. Each of the 13 colonies sent a delegate or a representative to go and argue whether or not the Constitution was a good idea. If 9 out of the 13 states ratified it, it would become official. And ratify means to pass. So not everybody supports the Constitution because the government is going to get more power. It's going to become stronger. And if you remember, we were already trying to get away from a king because he was too strong. There was concern the government would be too strong and it would take away the freedoms that the people came here for. So people weren't sure what to do about the Constitution. So discussion spreads and there starts to be two teams, the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. The Federalists are mostly richer, wealthy people and they support the Constitution. And the average person, or the poorer people, they were the Anti-Federalists. They were the ones who were afraid that the Constitution took away too much of their freedom and their taxes are going to go up. They're afraid that it's going to destroy the way of life they really worked for. So it doesn't seem like they're ever going to be able to get these two groups to agree. But the Federalists, led by Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay, they want to go around and explain to everybody what the Constitution really is. A lot of people are worried about the Constitution because they don't understand it, and they make it their job to explain to people why they should support the Constitution. They write these essays called the Federalist Papers. And the Federalist Papers basically explain why we need the Constitution. So they write these essays, they go around from town to town trying to convince everybody this is what we need. So one of the things that changes and gets more people on board is George Washington volunteers that he would be the first president if the Constitution passes. And he's really popular for what he did during the Revolutionary War. So what happens? Delaware is the first state to ratify or agree to the Constitution, followed by Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maryland, South Carolina, and New Hampshire is the 9th state to approve it. And what that means, once 9 states have approved it, it's official. The other 4 of the 13 doesn't matter if they didn't agree to it or not because it gets passed. Now there's a problem with that though. It's official and it passed, but these 4 states that didn't agree to it, if you want to get them on board and get them on your team, there's going to have to be some changes made. So Alexander Hamilton leads the Federalists in New York. He wants to get the rest of the people on board. And there's 2 states left. There's North Carolina and Rhode Island. Whoop. So North Carolina and Rhode Island are going to be the last 2 states to approve the Constitution. Once they sign it, then all 13 states have officially agreed that this is our new government. The new government began to take shape once they had an election to become the first president, and George Washington was chosen by unanimous consent to be the first president. And unanimous means they got all the support. So all the delegates and all the representatives chose George Washington. And John Adams became the vice president. So some people were still worried that the Constitution did too much and it gave the government too much power. So they wanted something to protect them. They wanted to add something to the Constitution, and they wanted to add something called the Bill of Rights. So when you change something or correct something, that's called an amendment. So the people came up with 10 changes or additions they wanted to add to the Constitution to protect people's personal freedoms and rights. And we'll talk about those a little bit more once you guys get into government class. Okay, so I know it was a shorter lesson. I need you guys to go into Google Classroom and you are going to work on Chapter 7, Lesson 5 worksheet.